Hey, Wanhao, how's going?
I'm good. I just joined an organization which called GCCA. Have you heard about before?
I'm not. What that for?
It's an organization which help Chile find the way to reduce effects of climate change.
Sounds cool. Tell me more about it.
So first, I'll tell you about Chile's vulnerability. Chile rely on agriculture industry and has weak labor force, which cause this country become more vulnerable due to climate change. Wine is the primary export merchant of Chile, but it was affected by the hazard by rising temperature. Rising temperature leads more generation of harmful insects, which affect grape production. And high temperature cause ripening process become faster. It will directly lead the poor quality of grape production and reduce their export revenue. Water shortage is another serious problem due to climate change. Less rainfall, less melting snow, and less water trapped in glaciers could combine to cause a serious decline in water availability. Water shortage are hitting not only the agricultural sector but also in mining part. There is not enough fresh water for citizens to drink, not enough water to grow grapes and to support mining industries. Weather chaos leads to the species loss. There is monkey piso tree which grow in the desert region, but it will be lost forever. The glacier hazard has increased over the last century as glaciers recede in response to global climate change, forming a growing number of glacier lake systems. Outburst floods from glacier source caused much more deaths in the 20th century, as well as destroying vital economic infrastructure, settlements, and valuable land. Many residents of villages that suffer from outburst floods had to move to another safe place. The government would have pressure to settle those kind of citizens. It has been estimated that the cost associated with the destruction of a major single hydropower installation by an outburst flood could exceed USD dollars 500 million. The agriculture sector could be one of the most vulnerable economic sectors to the impacts of climate change in the coming decades. Climate change impacts on crop production are related to changes in temperature and precipitation patterns, the frequency and the magnitude of extreme weather events, and the changes in seasonality and growing period, among others. In the case of the climate change, it would cause decrease in production of crops or fruits. People in Chile may face food price goes up and a shortage in food supply. Climate change impacts on the Chilean agriculture sector are widespread, with considerable distributional consequences across regions, and with fruits producers being worse off than crop producers. And another shocked event is climate change will affect human health, increasing energy demand for cooling in public and private buildings, greater impact on the health of elderly, children, and poor in urban spaces. The climate change will cause vector-borne diseases in areas which increases are expected from warming or the safe use of wastewater in water-scarce areas for humans. Most concentrated in the location of cities, the place with a large group of people, people who work outdoors are more sensitive to climate stresses than other groups. One of the greatest concerns is the impact of climate change on the land, leading to the changes in production of food, in particular for subsistence farmers. Also, the increase of heat waves can kill people. Degradation of surface water quality due to extreme weather events like river overflow, groundwater salinization in coastal zones, degradation of groundwater quality in northern areas, decrease in the regulation ability of water system, such dilution of pollutants. Those kind of events would bring the water security become unsafe. So water security as a challenge for the sustainability of somewhere in northern Chile, water scarcity could directly affect agriculture output, one of the Chile's most important industries. The insecurity of groundwater affects the quality of grapes and also directly influences the export of wine. Besides, the insecurity of groundwater brings severe diseases to citizens and harmful to human health.
However, besides the vulnerability, there are still some chances for Chile. First, Chile has large potential for solar and wind energy, with vast desert and 6,400 kilometers of coastline. Chile decided to approve a carbon tax, making it the second country after Mexico's in Latin America to put price on polluting. The package includes other environmental taxes intended to drive down air pollution and tackle climate change. Imposing carbon tax will encourage more investors to discover clean energy. Chile has huge potential on clean energy. Second, Chile changed afford opportunity for wine producers. They have to try out different varieties, explore new varieties, and develop adequate management practices. We found that there was a new one frontier opening up down south, such as the forests, Araucanis regions, and there were two or three relatively successful attempts at producing wine. Wines. The third opportunity is the development of fisheries due to the green greenhouse effect, abnormal rainfall and rising temperature causing the degradation of agriculture. So people change to develop fishing in the Chilean Sea, which is considered among the most productive marine economic systems in the world. Therefore, people in Chile have abundant natural resources to develop their fishery. Also, Chilean Sea might becoming view place that attract more tourists. Uh, for the economic in Chile, there are huge difference from the period before industrial revolution and after industrial revolutions. Before industrial revolutions, the economic development is based on agriculture and fishery industry, and colonized by Spain between 1540 to 1820. After that, industrial activity experienced enormous growth in the 1940s, at least 6.1% annually in that decade. The industry's share of GDP rose from 16.7 to 23.7 in the 1940 to 1955 period. Chile exports coppers for electrical industry and nitrates for fertilizers. For the history of fossil fuel burning, the major consumption of fossil fuel in Chile is source of energy and electricity. Uh, For the current situation, Chile's oil demand has nearly doubled over the past decades, with crude oil production has declined by half, leading Chile to increase its impact of oil dramatically. For the history of the deforestation and forest regulations, uh, for the deforestation, Chile's main environmental problem deforestation, because Chile suffers from widespread deforestation which have negative impacts. And for forest registrations, and Chile also have the plans to regenerate forest and also for carbon footprint, the deforestation cause carbon footprint increase. And for dominant lifestyles, the income of dominant lifestyle beside Cooper's the second largest income source is agriculture. It is about 6% of the national wealth. For the carbon footprint, Chile's government will start measuring carbon dioxide emissions from thermal power plants in 2017, and the new tax would be charged from 2018. And the population growth rate is 0.9%.
How does climate change affect vulnerable populations? The first one is women. They get less skills training than men in some advanced technology. Secondly, climate change for hardest on women because women are more dependent on natural resources for their livelihood that are threatened by the climate change. The second one is indigenous people, mainly about Mapuche, increasing food insecurity due to declining fish populations and coral bleaching. Uh, there are number there are a number of 20,000 speakers and numerous academics have agreed that it's completely unrelated to any other language. How does climate change affect vulnerable population count? Poor people. The second one is farmers. The third one is elders. Poor people's effect of the climate change would have significant damage to poor people. A number of people lose their lives because of the insufficient investment and treatment. How about farmers? Most farmers in Chile have low income, some carbon footprint. Climate change has negative impact on their life. The elderly people have hyperimmunity so that they are easier to be affected by the tropical diseases. Trade-offs: vulnerability, temperature rise. Rise. Solution: farmers could apply new techniques and uproot vineyards for grape production. The pro is increase the growth rate of grapes. Then farmers could earn more money. The vulnerability is water shortage and insecurity. The solution is build a dam and establish a water sanitation system. Trade-offs: 3. Vulnerability is a weather cause. Solution: set up warning system. It can increase people's living standard and satisfaction of life. Vulnerability: 4. Human health solution is that it can provide health insurance. Uh, and which can lower poor people's burden. Trade-offs fifth. Um, the vulnerability is agriculture degradation. The solution is government helps farmers relocate the land, which can decrease loss on crop production, use land more effectively. Political platform, how it changed. Chile's original political platform was based around sustainable practices in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries. More recently, their platform has transformed into renewable energy. Chile has vast geothermal, solar, and wind energy resources, while fossil fuels resources are limited. Chile's political platform timeline. The first one is joining the Kyoto Protocol. The second one is application of the Clean Development Mechanism. It can be called the CDM. The third one is PSF. And then they join the LAPP. The last one is develop and implement a national action plan for climate change.
And Chile also got involved in UNES FCCC. Chile signed the contract on June 17th, 1998, and the date of the ratification is on August 26th, 2002. The UNFCCC has been established by the international community to respond to the threat of the climate change and is of direct relevance to mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions. Chile participated in the Clean Development Mechanism, which is CDM, and come up with some developing projects. Quilaco hydroelectric project is to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions from Chilean power sector, and the regional landfill project means the expansion will use the gas of the landfill to create enough energy to support 75,000 homes out in Chile. The most important project is renewable energy project, and Chile has already used solar energy, wind energy, and geothermal energy instead of burning fossil fuels. And Chile also has the Price Stabilization Fund, which is Chile's power sector is heavily dominated by coal-powered electricity in an effort to make Chile's electricity supply less dependent on imported fossil fuels and to encourage the development of non-conventional renewable energy sources. Chile is developing a NAMA in the form of a price stabilization fund during September 2012 to November 2012. Oh, to November 2022. And Chile also joined the REDD, which is deforestation and forest degradation are the second leading cause of global warming, responsible for about 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which makes the loss and depletion of forests a major issue for climate change. And Chile has been participating in the REDD and SES initiative since 2013 to support the development of its safeguard information system based on REDD. In order to stop deforestation and forest degradation and supporting sustainable forest management, conserve water resources and prevent flooding, reduces runoff, control soil erosion, reduce river siltation, protects fisheries, and investment in hydropower facilities, preserve biodiversity and preserve cultures and traditions. And for the LPAA, Chile gets involved in the LPAA, which means Lima Paris Action Agenda. And this is outcome from COP20 in Lima. The LPAA has already become a major force in reducing emissions, improving energy efficiency, building resilient communities and economies, and curbing destruction and waste in forestry, water, and agriculture to shape tomorrow's sustainable world. And in the COP20, which is in Paris, Chile submitted its climate action plan ahead of 2015 Paris Agreement, which called intended nationally determined contribution (INDC). And the INDC has three key areas. The first one is resilience to climate change, including the pillars of adaptation and capacity building. And the second is control of greenhouse gas emissions, comprising the mitigation pillar. And the last one is cross support for climate actions, including technology transfer and development pillars, as well as climate finance. And in conclusion, Chile is a coastal country and its financial resources are mainly from natural environment, such agriculture and the fishing industry. And because of the climate change, Chile is threatened by sea level rise, natural disasters, etc. And natural resources decrease rapidly because of the climate change, like yeah, and Chile gets involved in UNFCCC because UNFCCC can enhance community livelihood and promote sustainable development by reducing adverse effects of climate change variability and extreme events. And Chile also focused more on using clean energy after joining UNFCCC and also come up with some useful projects for the whole world.
And we have two recommendations. The first recommendation is build for 40 kilowatt solar energy system to generate electricity. It approximately gonna cost $32 million, and Chile has a huge potential on geothermal, solar, and wind energy, and build the energy system will help reduce carbon dioxide emission effectively, and moreover, it will lowering their dependence on fossil fuels, increase economy, and create a lot of jobs. And the good thing is that the energy is sustainable. Solar energy is sustainable because there is no way we can overconsume, and it will also reduce electricity cost, reduce about 17,000 liters fuels consumption in first 14 months by using one 40 kilowatt solar energy system. The counts, it probably will give, we probably will have some pollution, and the energy storage is very expensive. And the second recommendation, participate in geoengineering programs, carbon dioxide removal, and solar radiation management. And there are some other benefits like mitigate the effects of emissions and climate change, and buying more time to be sustainably preserve wireless greenhouse gas emission. Pros and cons. The pro about the pros is it is sustainable. It will support the development of electric car program, which can decrease the emission of fossil fuels. And the solar radiation can generate power that is the clean energy without the emission of carbon dioxide. About cons, it is very high expense, and developing new technology is extremely expensive, and new technology may not work perfectly, and the cost of clean energy is too high to afford, like solar energy, and electric cars is expensive for normal citizens to afford. About vulnerable population, the first one population is women. Geoengineering would help women to adapt the climate change, because women is like less productive than men. They are like gonna have more effects than men have while facing the climate change. And the second vulnerable people is indigenous people, because they are rely on natural resources more than the other citizens who lives in the city. So geoengineering could help them get to the adapt the climate change. And the third vulnerable population is the unemployed people. Use renewable energy could create a lot of jobs which they can apply for, and it it help them financially to adapt the climate change.